Let's talk about how it feels to be a 6-month kidney transplant recipient. It feels amazing. It makes you feel like you have climbed one of the tallest mountains that you will ever climb in your life. But it also feels like one of the longest, most emotional, hardest journeys that you may have to embark on. And somehow, some way, all of that comes together to make you feel like you accomplished something super significant that's gonna change your life and hopefully put you in a better place than you were before. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am Miss Brooks, and thank you all so much for being here with me today. So today is gonna be a little bit of a more calm video. I am excited that I have a break from decorating. If you missed my decorating for fall video, please go check it out. It would make me very happy. But I am officially 6 months post-kidney transplant, and I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of things I have learned and things that I have realized. And I just wanted to share some of those thoughts now that I've gotten to this side of the process. And for those of you who may not know, the reason why I needed a kidney transplant is because I am a COVID survivor. I was in a 3-month coma due to COVID, and I almost didn't make it, okay? I survived a 10% chance to live, and I'm so grateful that I did survive. But coming out of that, it was very traumatic to my body, and I ended up having damage to my kidneys, and that kind of started this whole journey for me of, getting a kidney transplant. Thankfully, my doctors are happy with my progress. I'm very happy. I'm feeling great. But I'm learning a lot in terms of what this means in terms of a lifestyle change. And yeah, I just have a lot of thoughts that I wanted to share. And I thought it would be helpful for anyone who may come across this video that's currently going through the process of realizing that you may need a kidney transplant. Perhaps you are trying to manage your kidney health, like before you have to pursue any type of kidney treatment. I also did kidney treatment. I did dialysis. It was very hard. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. So for all of the kidney warriors out there, my heart is with you. I feel you, okay? But now that I'm so blessed to be on this side of the process and having a kidney transplant, I just wanted to share some thoughts, and hopefully maybe it'll help somebody out there. The way that I was looking for information when I learned that I was gonna have to go through the process. So I just wanna do my part and pay it forward and put good energy and good vibes out there, and hopefully some helpful information for anyone else who might be going through a kidney transplant process. Or maybe you're a recent kidney transplant recipient as well. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. But before we sit down and chat, I do have a couple of errands I need to run and some random things I need to do. So I figured I'd just bring you all along with me. I need to stop by Sephora because I heard the sale is going on, and I need to restock a lot. And actually, ever since I had my kidney transplant surgery, I have not made it a priority to keep like a lot of my makeup and skincare collection updated. I've been using what I have, which has been good because I have a lot of empties, but I need to freshen up some things in my makeup collection, especially things that I use on like a daily basis. So we're gonna go do that. I need to stop by Lowe's because I have recessed lighting in my house, and yeah, my lights, like 3 of my lights went out at the same time. So we need to go do that. And then maybe I will stop by a store to get some garland to add to my collection of Christmas decor items. So spoiler alert, there is a Christmas decor video coming up. And we are currently in the process of getting it all together. So with that said, let's go run some errands and then we'll come back and chat. All right, we're in here. I forgot to mention I've got birthday gift cards that I get to spend, so I'm really gonna enjoy this shopping trip. Yes, I like bougie skincare, okay? Judge me. We must replenish this. This is my classic. And the concealer color I like is caramel. So let's see if they have it. Oh, there it is. I've been wanting to try their brow freeze. I don't know if it's any good though. Oh my God, why did I forget they have Christmas stuff too? Oh, we're not gonna look. So these are typically what I use for my floodlights, but they have a 6-pack for $30. I don't think I need all that. I'm just gonna get the 3-pack and we're out of here. All right, we're back and it is time to chat. It's a couple hours later. I took a break to cook up some dinner. I like to eat dinner a little earlier these days. So I had my little dinner break and now I am back for us to talk about some important lessons I've learned as a kidney transplant recipient. So as many of you know, I am 6 months post kidney transplant and I have been on a very, very long journey to get here. Now, I'm gonna spare you, just for the sake of time, all of the details. I'm gonna link below the welcome video to my channel that gives you kind of a very brief overview of what that process was that got me to this point. But again, as I reiterated at the top of this video, I became a kidney transplant recipient because of COVID, and it kind of changed my life and it caused me to have kidney damage. I did dialysis for 3 years and yeah, I got my kidney transplant 6 months ago. And as much as I went into this process with so much trepidation and so much fear, I have come out of it feeling like a new woman, not only because of my new kidney, but because it has forced me to face myself in ways that I never did before. It has forced me to rethink the way that I live my life. It has forced me to reevaluate the things that I value in my life. And I believe that all of those things, alongside the kidney transplant process, has made me a better woman. And I'm grateful for that. With that said, I want to kind of quickly hit you all with a few things that are the biggest lessons that I've learned about the kidney transplant process and how you will feel after. Number 1, the surgery is fast, but the recovery is slow. And let me explain. When you get the call for a kidney transplant, it is gonna happen almost as if it happens in a blink of an eye. Now, yes, there is a long process running up to it. You're gonna go through a lot of evaluation, a lot of testing, a lot of doctors are gonna meet with you and evaluate your health and your health history and etc. But the reality is that the day or night, for me it was at night, when I got the phone call. I got the phone call around, I forgot. It was probably like 9 o'clock at night. I got the phone call and they asked me to get to the hospital like within 30 to 45 minutes. And in that moment, I broke down. I cried my eyes out on the phone to the woman who called me. And she was so sweet and like gave me a second to like get myself together and to like have that moment. I had been on dialysis for 3 years, and I may do another video about dialysis, but long story short, dialysis was very hard for me. There are people who can go to dialysis and leave dialysis and go to work and have a full day and feel fine. That was not me. I would feel the effects of dialysis all day. Sometimes I would sleep it off and wake up the next morning and still feel the effects of dialysis the next day. Now, there are things that I could do to kind of make it better, but sometimes, most of the time, it wasn't. So to hear this woman on the phone telling me that I had an opportunity to receive a kidney and I was gonna be able to stop going to dialysis, it was like this rush of emotion that I had been holding in me ever since I woke up from the coma that just came out of me. And I cried and like boo-hooed on the phone. I was actually quite embarrassed. But she was really, really sweet and gave me my instructions and the information that I needed, and talked to me, let me ask questions, and that was it. I packed a bag and like skedaddled and got to the hospital ASAP. I went to dialysis in the hospital that night at midnight, and then that next morning I woke up and had my kidney transplant. And you don't realize how fast things will happen. You will have multiple doctors talking to you at the same time. You'll have nurses and people around you taking your blood work, going over all the details of the surgery with you, getting you set up for surgery. You will have people, literally getting you dressed for surgery. And it is a whirlwind, and it is overwhelming in the most literal way. But the reality is that part of the process is very short-lived, provided everything goes well, okay? The longer part of the process is your healing and recovery. Now let me explain what I mean by that. It took me about a month and some change to like immediately heal the scar from surgery. And I actually had, I know this is like TMI and I know it's kind of graphic. So if you're a little queasy about medical stuff, you can maybe like mute this for like 15 seconds. But I did have staples in my stomach after surgery. That's standard, okay? And I needed like an extra like 2 weeks or so beyond the time when they typically take staples out to really allow my body to heal. So it took me about, I want to say 5 to 6 weeks to let maybe not 6 weeks. It was maybe like 4 to 5 weeks that it took for my like body to heal enough for them to take the staples out. And after you kind of get through that initial like 1 month process, you get into this habit of like going to the doctor, twice a week. So I was going to the doctor on Mondays and Thursdays. And so I did that for a very long time. And then provided everything is going well, you get to move on to going once a week. So I did that for a while. And then after that, you get to go every other week. And then finally you get to once a month. Now, thankfully, I finally got to the once a month process about 2 months ago. I think when I hit 4 months, they let me come back like once a month. So this month is actually like my second or third month, I think. My second month going back. So now this is my third month going back. You see how long it's been? You start to forget how long you've been in the process. But the other thing I want to say is that you will go through a lot of testing every time you go to the doctor. So every month, every week, every day, wherever you stand in the process, you're going to have to do blood work and a lot of other tests, depending on how the medication is working, how your body is responding to the medication, and where they need your levels to be for the anti-rejection medications. And then if you have other health health conditions. Luckily, I didn't really have any other health conditions that needed to be managed at that time. But if you have other health conditions, they have to manage those alongside the kidney transplant medications as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. The other reason that I say the surgery is fast, but the healing is quick is because the surgery and the process of getting called in for a kidney transplant happens so fast that it's almost like you have mental whiplash. Like, it may take you time to process what has happened. Even though you may be an informed patient, you signed up for it, this is something that you have agreed to do, you want to do, but the moment that it happens so fast. And it took me a while to wrap my head around the fact that, like, I was not going to be going to dialysis, and I had the responsibility of taking care of this new kidney, because you do have to take care of a kidney. And it took me a minute for my mental process to catch up with how quickly the surgery and the medical stuff happened. And eventually it did. But I knew that, like, the way I felt wasn't crazy, because I even had, like, some of my friends and my family say things to me like, oh my God, like, it happened so fast. Like, we cannot believe this happened so fast. We can't believe that you're at home recovering already. You know, like, we just can't believe all of this is happening so fast. So the surgery will come quick, but the healing will take a lot longer. So be prepared for that, and be prepared to soak it in as much as you can as you're going through the process. But, like, just be aware that it's gonna take time for your mind and your body to, like, catch up and to heal. I know for me, that's how I felt. So, number 2, it is important to have community. So when I say community, I don't just mean your friends and family and people, who you know. You need community of people who will be with you in the doctor's office. People who will be supporting you and helping you take in and process all the information that's gonna come your way. Because trust me, the next day after you have surgery, you're gonna be out of it because you're gonna be on a ton of pain medications. But that's when they're gonna start educating you on really what it means to have a kidney transplant, how it's going to affect your life, what medications you're gonna have to take, how you have to take the medications, and just the entire process of what you're gonna go through with recovery in terms of your follow-up appointments and all the post-surgery procedures and testing that you may have to go through. It is a lot. It is a whole lot. And while you are emotional about having a kidney transplant, you are in pain because you just got out of a very, very invasive, serious surgery, and you are tired and out of it and loopy from all of the medications they gave you. It is critical that you have someone in your life, whether it be your parents, your significant other, maybe it's a close friend, someone who you trust to look out for your well-being and your health, who will sit by your side and sit and listen to the doctors as they're giving you this information. And not only is this my recommendation, it's actually a requirement. So I know at my hospital, they were very serious about you having your support person with you. And there would be times when I would go to my follow-up appointments and my parents would drop me off at the door so I could go upstairs and do my lab work while they were parking the car, and then we go to my appointment. But one day I walked up to the office without my parents because they were taking so long to park the car. And when I walked into the office, the transplant office, the receptionist looked at me and said, "Oh, do you have your support person here?" And was like looking around the room looking for my parents. They are serious about it, okay? They are serious because it's important for your health and well-being. It is important to make sure that the kidney that they give you is being well taken care of. So have community, have people that you trust with your life and your well-being by your side during the process. Because even though, I've always believed I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Just kidding, okay. I needed help. And I was very grateful that my parents were there to be there for me and help me during that process. Now, I also want to talk about the broader sense of community, right? There are many people who are going to cross your path, who are going to support you in preparing for kidney transplant. So when I think about community, I think about my best friends who listen to me lamenting on the phone, for years about how I hated dialysis and how it made me feel bad. Even though it was something that I needed to do for my health, it was very painful. So I spent a lot of time with my friends providing the emotional support that I needed. And then also my dialysis team. I didn't realize how much I relied on them being a part of my life every week until I didn't see them. And I am not going to get emotional, but because I was not in a position to travel as easily as I wanted, I didn't always have the energy to go out and do all these fun, exciting things like I normally would have done while I was on dialysis. They kind of would light up my day, okay? I would go to dialysis and they would make me laugh and we would joke and we would talk about celebrity news, and they were my friends and they were people that I still care about, and they really, really helped me get through it. And I remember one day I was actually at the hospital for a check-in appointment with my doctors, and I ran into one of them and just gave her the biggest hug, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go back to work and tell them that you got a transplant. We are so excited for you." And so they were a part of my community that got me to the transplant, and I will never, ever, ever forget them. And I also think about my first dialysis tech that I ever worked with. And her name was Daisy. And she was this sweet Filipino woman who worked in the hospital in Seattle. And she was the first person who ever administered dialysis to me. And I only trusted her. When she was not at work, or when she, had to go deal with another patient and couldn't deal with me, I was not a happy camper. And I remember her the most because she was my first dialysis tech when I woke up from the coma, and I was in that initial phase of recovery, and I was very emotional. I was, again, to my previous point, mentally, I was catching up with what had happened to me, coming out of a coma, because I didn't have any memory of it. And that's a story for another day. And she comforted me, and literally, when I was crying, held me in her arms and was there for me while I was, having to do dialysis. And I had never really been around dialysis machines. I didn't know what it looked like. I was scared, and I would cry, and she would hold my hand and rub my arm, and we would chit chat, and she would make me laugh and smile. And I will never forget Daisy. I will never forget what it felt like to have any of my dialysis techs, the way that they showed me kindness and grace when I needed it. I'm getting emotional, but I will never forget them. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget them. And they taught me what it means to give grace to people and to support people, even if you don't know them, and to treat people with respect and love. And have your community of people that will support you going into the process and support you through the process and after. So, moving on to the next thing before I start crying. All right, number 3. Now that I have dried my eyes, get comfortable with your doctors. okay? You are going to interface with your doctors so much, okay? You are gonna need to make sure that you trust your doctors and that you feel comfortable asking them anything and really saying anything to them about how you're feeling, how the medications are feeling, what problems you may be having. Not only does this allow your doctors to get to know you in terms of your personality, what you prefer, what you don't prefer in your medical treatment, it allows you to be empowered. It's very difficult sometimes when you're in a room full of doctors talking about your health. It's very easy to let them talk over you. But one thing that I learned is that it's important for me to advocate for myself. And as I have learned to do that, I've become much more comfortable with my doctors. And not just my doctors, but the broader team, the pharmacists. They are very much involved in your care in terms of determining how much of the anti-rejection medications you need to take. If they ever change your medications, you have a dedicated pharmacist who's making that decision. You need to be comfortable asking them questions. You also have a nurse coordinator, so they will be communicating with you sometimes on behalf of the doctors. So some days after my appointments, I may get a phone call from my nurse coordinator. Some days I may get a phone call directly from the doctor. But either way, you need to have the confidence and be brave to speak up, advocate for yourself, ask questions, and get comfortable with allowing them to get to know you. You know, these are people that you're going to be working with on the long term, okay? It's not like they're going to be in and out, and you need to trust these people and be comfortable with them. So get comfortable speaking up and, you know, saying what's really on your mind and on your heart. If you're scared about something, if there's a certain treatment or pill or something that they're recommending that you don't like, speak up. It's okay to speak up. You are a part of your medical team, so make sure that you feel empowered to get to know your medical team and openly and freely communicate with them. And trust me, they will appreciate that. You know, the more that they can learn about you, the better that they can work with you on your treatment plan. So speak up and get comfortable with your doctors. Okay, I think we're on number 4. I got emotional and lost count when I was talking about my dialysis techs. But the 4th thing, if I'm even on number 4, the 4th thing that I think is important for you to know: prepare your veins for the needles. And I'm sorry if you are someone who absolutely hates needles. I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to get used to it. Now, maybe there are other ways that they can take your blood depending on your specific health situation. Like if you have like a catheter for dialysis, maybe that's a way they can get blood. I actually had a catheter for a while until my fistula was ready. But every time you go for your checkups, okay, whether you are in the phase of the process where you're going twice a week, once a week, every other week, or where I'm at now at 1 month, you always have to give blood. Doing the blood work is the way that they are able to measure your kidney function, plus all the other things that they watch, you know, while they are monitoring your health. All of your vital signs, different levels of like minerals and things like that in your blood, vitamins, like they are gonna monitor a lot through your blood work, and you just can't get out of it. So I would definitely recommend, especially when you're in that phase right after surgery, switch up the places where you give blood. So I would go to the hospital, for example, on Monday, and they would take it from my wrist. And then when I would go back on Thursday, I would tell them to take it from like, you know, the crack of my arm. Just switch it up, okay? Because in the beginning, right after surgery, you will be given a lot of blood, okay? Whether you like it or not. It's just how the cookie's gonna crumble. So try to get used to it, okay? And there are things, if you're with a good phlebotomist, I think I said that right. But if you're with a good one, they know how to make it comfortable for you. They know, where to, draw blood from you in a way that's not painful. If you're nervous, be sure to communicate that to them. If there's a place where they're trying to draw blood that hurts you, be open and honest about that. Someone drew blood from me and left a bruise on my arm for like a week. So the next time I went to draw blood, I was like, I don't want you to draw blood there, okay? Because I don't want another bruise for a week. So again, going back to that concept of advocating for yourself and speaking up, but prepare those veins for the blood work, okay? Prepare the veins. All right, number 5. And this one is also a little emotional, but I'm gonna keep it together. It is okay to grieve your life before you had to have a kidney transplant. And I felt so guilty when I first started feeling those feelings. I missed the days when I didn't have to be in a doctor's office all the time, checking on my kidney. I missed the days before when I could travel whenever I wanted and I didn't have to worry about dialysis, or even after having a kidney transplant, going to the doctor. I miss the days when I didn't really have this health issue prior to COVID. And I want to say, for anyone out there who is going through this kidney process, wherever you are in the process, if you are evaluating if you need to go on to kidney treatment, if you are on kidney treatment, or if you are, post kidney transplant, or if you're preparing for surgery for a kidney transplant, your life is going to change, and it's going to happen quickly, as I stated earlier. And it's okay. It is okay if you suddenly find yourself a little bit tired and physically, in pain. It's surgery. It's major, especially in the early days after surgery. And it's okay for you to kind of grieve the fact that your life has changed significantly and you miss the quote unquote old days of your life. I've been there. And again, I felt guilty about it. But what you have to remember is that trouble don't last always. And I know people say that in church all the time. At least I grew up in a church background. But it is true. It is very true. After you have kidney transplant process, you will slowly get back to life. As you move through the recovery process and your time frame in between doctor's appointments gets a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, you've got time to slowly step back into the life that you want to live. Now that life is going to change a little bit, but you will be able to start hanging out with your friends a little more. Obviously doing things that are healthy and not doing anything that's going to damage your health or the kidney's health. But you can start to get back to life and like hanging out with family members. And the time that I remember I used to spend at dialysis for 4 or 5 hours, I have that time back to invest in myself, invest in my community, and again, hang out with friends and family and do all the fun, random things I like to do. Like, I don't know, walking around Target, like, whatever it is that makes you happy, you slowly will have an opportunity to get back to those things. So in those moments when you are grieving your old life, remember that this is just a temporary phase, and you and your doctors and your community are working towards getting you back to your life, whatever that life is that you want to live. So just keep that in mind. I know that sometimes, as much as I try to talk about the process in a very lighthearted way, it is a very serious process, and it can be very heavy, emotionally heavy, mentally taxing. So just remember that every step you take forward, every day, you are working your way back to being able to enjoy all the things about your life that you miss. So just remember that, and don't be too hard on yourself if you do feel that. All All right, the last thing that I think you should know as a kidney transplant recipient, I think I'm on number 6. Y'all, my numbering is so off. I'll put it on the screen what number I am. But I think this is number 6. Okay. Although, per my previous point, you are working towards getting back to your life after surgery, you also have to remember that getting a kidney transplant is a lifestyle change. And not all facets of your life will change, but you will have to be more conscious of different factors of your health. So for me, I have been very, very careful about the things that I eat. I've been very careful about making sure that I'm keeping up my overall health in terms of my eating habits. I have been very serious and very, very strict about following my medication routine and the ways that it affects my body and just paying attention to all of those things. And the reason I call it a lifestyle change is, those things may sound really simple, but it's how you have to live for the rest of your life, at least for the duration of your kidney transplant functioning well. And so, my doctors, gave me rules about if you're someone who enjoys alcohol, okay? I don't do a lot of drinking, but I'm just using this as an example, okay? Like, they only recommend that you drink about 4 ounces of alcohol at a time, okay? I don't drink a lot, so that's not a big deal to me. But if you're someone who likes to go out with your friends and family and have drinks while you're having dinner, that's an adjustment. That's an adjustment. There are certain medications that they don't want you taking over the counter. So long gone are the days of you just walking into the drugstore and just picking up any random medication and trying it out and seeing how it feels. My doctors, I can't speak for everyone, but my doctors do not like me taking mostly anything over the counter. The few things that I have taken over the counter have been things like I've taken a magnesium pill and Robitussin. And the only reason I was allowed to take those 2 things is because magnesium was cheaper over the counter, and I only took that temporarily. And the Robitussin, I had a cold, and I had to call the nurse coordinator on a Saturday night because I was feeling really bad. And I was like, I don't think I can tough this out. I need to call somebody to see what I can take. And they called me back 20 minutes later and gave me a very specific list of cough syrups that I was allowed to take. And that's all I was allowed to do. And so now I take Robitussin if I ever get a cold. Long gone are my days of taking NyQuil and, having a deep sleep. So it is what it is. So it's little changes like that you have to be aware of. And again, your doctors will talk you through it. They will educate you on what the expectations are. But all those little details, factor into the new way or new adjustments that you have to make to how you live your life day to day. And hopefully, if you have a positive attitude and you've got the community, like I mentioned before, and you're educated and you have a great relationship with your doctors, like I mentioned before, hopefully the transition in terms of the new habits that you need to create, they're not too difficult. And they don't shake up your world too bad. And you can welcome those changes because all of those changes collectively are for your good. They're for your health. So that, again, per my previous point, you can get back to the life that you love. So those are the main 6 things that I have learned being a kidney transplant patient. And I guess the final thing that I want to say is that going through this process is long and it's hard and it can be difficult, but nothing in life worth having comes easy. So be prepared to put in that hard work and dedication, but you should also be prepared for all of the beautiful things that will come out of it, the beautiful relationships that you'll meet. I can honestly say there are people that I've met along the line of this whole process that I really truly care about. My relationship with my parents, I feel like is even deeper because we've kind of gone through this together. My relationship with my best friends are richer because they have supported me through this process. And I have really thought deeper about how I want to invest the time that I now have, back into the people that I love and the communities that I live in and that I exist in. And so, yes, it can be challenging. It can be difficult, but there is just such a beautiful, beautiful part to what happens after you get the transplant. And you will always have to be conscious of your health. You will always have to be conscious of the decisions that you make and how they affect your kidney. But in the long run, all of these things allow you to live a beautiful, bright, full, brilliant life. And I believe that that is the goal. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today and for listening to some of the lessons that I've learned along the way as a kidney transplant recipient. If this is helpful for you, please comment below and let me know what lessons that you've learned if you are a kidney transplant recipient or if you're somewhere along on the process. And yeah, let's build a community and support each other with love and encouragement in the comment section below. So thanks again. And yeah, I'm gonna sign off, and I wish all of you well, no matter where you are in the process. I am sending you all of the love, all of the strength, good vibes and prayers, and I am praying for your recovery and for your continued health. So that's it for today. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Bye everyone.